Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast. My name is Shawn. I'm coming to you from London, Ontario, Canada, and I want to thank you for joining me, whether it's on Twitch, Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook live right now on Saturday morning. It's a little bit different than our normal Thursdays, but there was two pay-per-views going on this weekend. I wanted to see the go-home shows for them before bringing you news and have everything a little more up to date on what's going on. Now, we are part of the Ontario Independent Podcasting Network and part of the Johners Podcasting Network over in the UK. So we're available everywhere. And of course, if you're not listening to us or watching us live, you can always listen to us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. We want to thank our huge sponsor, which is Coolbet. Want to remind you to sports betting and gaming over at Coolbet. Stay cool, bet responsibly. You can get more information over at scumbagswrestling.ca, and we definitely welcome everybody to go over there and check out our sponsor. They do a lot of great things for us, sponsor all our shows, and including this championship belt, which we'll talk about more later on during the show and later on this afternoon. But we need to dive into the news of the week, and it's unfortunate that I am posting this part here. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff sadly passed away this past Monday at the age of 71. He was a football star that didn't unfortunately make it into the NFL, discovered wrestling, and was a huge star in the United States during the 70s, finally made his way to WWE in the 80s, and was one of the biggest opponents for Hulk Hogan, including headlining the Wrestling Classic, which was done in Toronto at the CNE, and then he flipped back and forth from being Heenan family member a few times. Eventually made his way to WCW, had that unfortunate gimmick with the mirror and the psychic dude or motivational speaker, and of course he teamed with Paul Roma for Pretty Wonderful. His son Travis, who posted a video a few weeks ago that a lot of people weren't too happy with, did post a thing on his Instagram the other day on Monday, and it said, "It is with great sadness that I announce the passing of my father, Paul Parlett Orndorff Jr. He is better known as Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Most of you will remember him for his physique. Many of you will remember his intensity, but if I could only get you to understand and see his heart. He will always be Papa, and Daddy at home. And as much as many of you fans hated him as a wrestler, he absolutely loved you for it. He was an amazing father, and that showed me more love than I ever deserved. I love you, Daddy." Donation page is available on Travis's bio for funeral expenses. Any close friends who would like to speak at the funeral are also asked to Instagram Travis Orndorff. Then there was a lot of people speaking out, and well, not necessarily speaking out, speaking up and honoring Paul Orndorff in different messages. Some of them included the masterpiece Chris Masters. He said, "Lost another legend today in Paul Orndorff. I remember Vince so much. I reminded Vince so much of Paul that they brought him out to work with me. Paul really emphasized intensity and aggressiveness. I was so green at that point that I would take quite a few more years to truly understand what he was teaching. Forever grateful for the opportunity. Rest in paradise, Mr. Wonderful." The Iron Sheik, of course, gotta love Sheiky. He put all in capitals. "Paul Orndorff, my brother, you were the toughest. We trained together. We ride together. You were excellent, Bubba. I am so sad. I love you forever. Rest in peace." Ted DiBiase Sr. said, "My heart and my prayers go out to the family and friends and colleague Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, great wrestler and many great memories. Rest in peace, my friend. Mark Merrow, very sad to hear Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff has passed away. I had the pleasure of wrestling him many times as Johnny B. Bad in WCW, a talent that will be missed. Hulk Hogan, as I said, one of his biggest rivals, just got slammed with Paul Orndorff. News, rest in peace, my brother. Love you and thank you for always making me fight for everything in our matches. Heaven just got even more wonderful. And then, of course, Bret Hart. I'm finishing this off with the wrestling world lost a real legend today with the passing of Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Few men were as professional and few were tougher. He was always a mentor to me, and I always had respect and my admiration for him throughout the years. My thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends. He was indeed a wonderful man in all regards. There's also a huge write-up that Mick Foley did. There was a couple other ones that did a large write-up. Definitely too long to do on here. Definitely want to, as I said, thoughts and prayers and condolences out to fans and family and friends of Mr. Wonderful. I really didn't see too much of him other than his WCW run. It was very sporadic in WWE when I first started watching him, so I only know a lot of stuff backstory in that regards. Could only imagine what he was like in his prime. So yeah, rest in peace to Mr. Wonderful. On to the other news of the week. Yesterday, WWE returned to action in front of fans in Houston. Huge ovation at the start of the show. Started off with Vince McMahon. Started off actually with the video welcoming fans back. Then No Chance in Hell started up. Vince did his little strut and asked, "Where the hell have you been?" And then left. Quite simple. And then surprisingly, we started off right with a match instead of a long-winded 20-minute segment of dialogue. The crowd was really hot for everybody coming out for the six-man tag. Roman Reigns, the Usos, the Mysterios, and Edge had a really good match with the Usos picking up the victory for their team, setting up the matchup this Sunday tomorrow. So yeah, there was also a surprise in the fact that Harry Smith, David Boy Smith Jr., was in a dark match with a bunch of NXT stars that are being considered to be brought up. He was teaming with Austin Theory. Aaliyah, I believe, was there as well. There's a lot of different things going on to hype up the crowd in that way and start looking at some of the new talent coming. Yeah, we also saw, like I said, SmackDown begin with the promo. Finn Balor returned the main event or the main roster, and it looks like he's going to be in a program with Sami Zayn because Sami was out there complaining about being lost in conspiracy theory and that he should be in Money in the Bank, and Balor just shut him up with a coup de grace. Bianca Belair retained her championship over Carmella. Really great pop from the crowd when that match finished. They really worked well together, Carmella and Bianca did. And they got actual time. It was at the top of the hour and decent showing from them. The main event didn't really have a lot of time to it, and it ended with Seth Rollins getting the victory and also climbing a ladder and holding the briefcase to end the night. So we'll see how things go, but it was definitely nice to see fans back in attendance after 15 plus months away. WrestleMania is a totally different thing, and they wouldn't even have as many sort of feel as last night's SmackDown did. Looking at Money in the Bank, it's tomorrow, and according to Ringside News, it seems that they still have not made a final decision on who will climb the ladder and claim the briefcase in both the men's and women's. Possibility they were waiting to see what the fans' reaction was for last night and are making those decisions, obviously, today on which direction they want to go with who they think can hold the briefcase. And bring some maybe prestige back to it, because last year's briefcases were kind of really diminished with the fact that Asuka got hers. They were both gotten in a cinematic match together, but Asuka got hers, but then just opened it up and here was the title because Becky Lynch was pregnant. And of course, then Otis got his, but then got taken away from him. And The Miz was able to cash in, but it just was a really weak presentation for the Money in the Bank. So hopefully they have that in place for tomorrow night. Oh, well, they have to anyways, because they're going to go live. Fightful Select is reporting that Goldberg is returning to Raw on Monday, and this will set up the WWE Championship match, rumored to be Bobby Lashley against Goldberg at SummerSlam. Of course, a lot of people want Lashley against Brock, but that's apparently not going to happen. And they're going to use one of Goldberg's two match per year stipulations minimum, going against Lashley at SummerSlam in Las Vegas. There's rumors from PW Insider that Impact Wrestling and the NWA are in discussions about a talent exchange and agreement. The NWA is looking to do 2 pay-per-views, one a women's one on the 28th of August called Empower, and the other one is the 73rd anniversary of the NWA happening on the Sunday, the 29th. So I could see that happening. The Forbidden Doors they keep on wanting to use is definitely in play, and NWA could use some extra talent, and definitely using some Impact guys help elevate that. And I know Mickie James was supposed to be doing the Empowerment or Empower show and producing that, and they need some extra women to help fill out that division, which is also supposed to be doing a women's tag team titles coming back as well. Speaking of rumors again, Tony Khan is teasing that there will still be more surprises coming to AEW, and that the major surprise is bigger than Andrade and Malachi Black. Most people are speculating that he's referring to Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, coming to AEW. Share your thoughts with us. Got the chat available. Just click on wherever you're watching and send us a message, and you can bring it up in our comment section and address anything that you'd like to chat about. Here's a unfortunate, sad situation, I guess. Michael Elgin found himself arrested this recently after violating a restraining order from his ex-fiancée. There are multiple accusations filed on May 21st against Elgin, including mental, emotional, verbal, and sexual abuse. Some of the accusations include sexual caretaking, monitoring her phone and computer use, pressuring her to engage in sex acts she said no to, berating verbally in public and privately, isolating her from her friends and family, exposing her sexual health to male and female sex trade workers, and so much more. Elgin had been reported missing last month, but was found safe and sound. Elgin was then arrested on June 29th for violating the protective order. Apparently, he had ignored the order over 60 times, also changing his phone number, creating different accounts, just really creepy stuff, unfortunately. The case is currently under investigation, and Elgin is claiming mental health issues as his defense and has used threats of suicide to try and manipulate her even more after their breakup. Hopefully, Elgin can leave this woman alone, and other women for that matter, because I guess his ex-wife had issues with him as well, and just seek professional help. He is a very talented individual, but huge dark side as we're finding out with what's going on. Definitely, as I said, hopefully he finds some sort of help along the way. Somebody else who just got out of jail, though, is Tammy Sitch. she's out of jail and returning to the indie wrestling scene, and also looking to somehow trademark the name Sunny to use again for work. I don't know if the WWE will allow that to happen. They'll try their best to block it, considering what she's planning on using it for. She also plans to return to her fans only site where she made tons of money daily. Heard like 100 grand a month or something like that she was making before going back to jail last year. And she's put out a call for men and women to join her in the return to her site. So if that's your thing, go for it. But yeah, she's definitely just trying to keep her fame going as much as possible. And that's another unfortunate lost soul that just gotten, I think, a little too deep into the weeds of the dark side of things with drugs and who knows what else going on. Kind of crazy stuff going on with Tammy Sitch. Huge fan of hers when she was Sunny originally in WWE, but that train has derailed way too hard. This week on AEW, Jon Moxley retained his IWGP title over Carl Anderson. Lance Archer, let's slow down a bit, challenged Moxley to a rematch for a Texas death match next week. This is actually a rematch from when Moxley took the title from Archer, but that was over in Japan, and this is actually going to be in Texas, and so they can do a Texas death match. So that's a rematch there. I see Moxley still retaining, but it's 2 weeks in a row on Fyter Fest that Moxley's defending the IWGP Championship that way. The FTW title switched hands when Ricky Starks beat Brian Cage. Brian is now babyface and kicked out of Team Taz thanks to Hobbs. And Darby Allin won the coffin match over Ethan Page. Miro also changed the look of the TNT Championship, which seems to change with every owner. And because Brody had his version, which was the original one that they brought in. They retired that and brought in a new one, which then Darby won, and they put it on black leather. I think they also changed a little bit the facing on it. And then now Miro has it, and the red ribbon is now green, and it's on a white leather. So it seems like if you get the TNT Championship, you get to have your own specialized belt in that regards. So they did that. The WWE women's roster has been shaken up a bit over the last few days. Bayley found herself put on the shelf for the next 9 months with an ACL injury. That came about when talent has been asked to return to PC and kind of just take off any ring rust and be ready for fans again. And of course, some talent are not happy about that. And now seeing Bayley getting injured, they're really not happy about having to do that. It's kind of crazy. But Bayley, at the earliest, we might see back in time for WrestleMania, depending on how quickly she heals up. But it's still going to be over 2 years before she actually is in front of a crowd again, because she didn't even wrestle at WrestleMania this past year, WrestleMania 37. So hopefully she gets healed quickly and is able to return sooner than the 9 months that are expected. She had been scheduled to face Bianca Belair at Money in the Bank for the championship, but that got replaced by Carmella. I mentioned that with Bianca retaining last night. And with Bianca going against Carmella, Carmella's spot in the ladder match went to Liv Morgan. She ended up standing call last night and off air did a really emotional thank you speech to the fans and promised to do better or like go for the briefcase tomorrow night. And then we saw Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart, who's now just Shotzi, brought up to from NXT to SmackDown. They 2 weeks in a row now have victories over Tamina and Natalya. So they're going to be in line for a tag team title shot. And it's kind of odd that Tegan just got brought back and cost Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae the NXT Tag Team Championship belts. And then poof, she's over on SmackDown now. Shotzi's tag team partner. Meanwhile, Shotzi's tag team partner Ember Moon got left behind in NXT. So I don't know whose choice that was, why Ember didn't get to go, but we now have a new tag team with Shotzi and Tegan Knox. So that's the shakeup on that one. There was supposed to be a potential Shotzi against Raquel Gonzalez match. That's out. Same with Tegan against Candice LeRae. So NXT's had to reset a few things there. Just really mixing up things. And it doesn't seem like WWE main roster care about continuity over on NXT. So I feel bad for the guys trying to plan events and cards, and all of a sudden getting the rug pulled out from under them. Then all of a sudden we saw Mandy Rose show up mysteriously on NXT on Tuesday, and she was scouting matches and also looking at doing stuff with Robert Stonebrand. A little bit of a different look for her. Almost back to how Lana looked when she was the Ravishing Russian in Miro's corner or Rusev's corner, with the look that she had there. But then the day before, she and Dana Brooke were going after Natalya and Tamina and looking like they're still contenders for the tag team titles there. Continuity is out the window. But in exchange for Mandy Rose, Aaliyah is being brought up from NXT after years of being there. Vince and company went down a few weeks ago to the PC to scout, and apparently she really impressed them. So she's going up. We'll have to see her debut soon. She was backstage last night at SmackDown in Houston. I mentioned about Mickie James announcing on Instagram Live that the NWA Tag Team titles will return. New champions will be crowned at Empower. She said to expect new faces and some legends to be part of the show with NWA. Due to the Olympic Games, NXT will be bumped over to Sci-Fi Network for July 27th and August 4th shows. NXT could go live next week or this Tuesday and then record the next 2 episodes, so they're not worried about the move in that regards. But just unfortunately they're getting bumped because of the Olympics. That'll be first time on Sci-Fi since ECW was there. But yeah, that's going to happen. And the first group of WWE releases from April are now available for bookings since their 90 days are up. The list includes Bo Dallas, Tucker, Kalisto, Mojo Rawley, Wesley Blake, Mickie James, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and Chelsea Green. Samoa Joe had been released, but he obviously has a job with NXT. Mickie James had joined NWA, and Chelsea Green showed up last week on Ring of Honor's Best in the World, but I guess she's not cleared to wrestle because of her hand still injured, at least in the area that Ring of Honor takes place in. So she's going to get awarded a shot after their women's tournament is over. But that doesn't mean that Mickie or Chelsea couldn't show up tonight on Impact Wrestling's Slammiversary. That's why I'm bringing up all these releases, because the Impact Wrestling has created at least 2 spots for women to show up in. And there's a lovely list of women right here that I just mentioned, being Mickie James, the Iconics, Chelsea Green, that could make their way to Impact tonight to fill some spots. So we'll have to see what happens there. Candy Cartwright has dropped her lawsuit against Matt Riddle. She had accused Riddle of physical misconduct and that he cost her jobs with WWE and Evolve. Riddle had denied all the accusations, and Cartwright had tried to sue both WD, Evolve, and Gabe Sapolsky. The judges had dismissed those lawsuits, but she was still pursuing the one against Riddle. It turns out now that she's dropped that one, and her lawyer said that they've put the matter in the past and want to focus on the future. They didn't make any mention, though, if there was a financial settlement agreed upon, or they just are dropping it totally. But it's been dropped without prejudice, so she cannot bring it back up in court if, say, one day she gets pissed off at Riddle and wants to get revenge on him for something. That's totally been thrown out, dismissed, and we won't hear anything about that again unless something new shows up. AEW has finally signed the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. to contracts. They had both been working for AEW on a pay-per-appearance basis, but now are officially having contracts and are all elite. This weekend, we have a double shot of Scumbags Wrestling Predictions League, once again presented by Coolbet. And first, we have Slammiversary, as I've been mentioning a few times. Some of the matches include Brian Myers and Tennille Dashwood taking on Matt Cardona and a mystery partner. Once again, one of the ladies from WWE could potentially be there. Kenny Omega is in the main event defending against Sami Callihan in a no disqualification match. There's also W. Morrissey against Eddie Edwards, a four-way tag team match for the tag team titles, including Violent by Design, Rich Swann and Willie Mack, TJP and Fallah Brawl, and the Good Brothers. Moose is taking on Chris Sabin. Fire and Flava are defending the women's tag team titles against Havoc and Rosemary. Deonna Purrazzo also has a mystery opponent to go against, and there's speculation of who she could go against. It might not even be one of the recently released WWE talent. And of course, the Ultimate X match has a six-way going on with that, with Josh Alexander defending the title. So I'm going to join everybody later on this afternoon around 1 o'clock before I go for a COVID shot and get fully vaccinated, and we'll be running down the predictions for tonight's card. You have until 7 o'clock to get your predictions into me, whether it's through Facebook and doing Messenger or going over to our website, scumbagswrestling.ca, to get your predictions in. And we'll find out who gets the most points. And it's a double shot weekend, as I said. So I'm going to do a little bit special. Whether you're a first-time participant or a long-time participant, everybody has a chance at getting a prize for the most points obtained tonight, most points obtained tomorrow, and the most points overall. So 3 potential winners in this week's Scumbags Wrestling Predictions League. And of course, tomorrow I'll join you with another round of Predictions League predictions for Money in the Bank, which has Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio teaming to defend their titles against the Usos. That's on the kickoff show. Rhea Ripley defending the Raw Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. The Raw Tag Team titles on the line with Almost and AJ Styles against the Viking Raiders. Bobby Lashley defending against Kofi Kingston. Edge challenging Roman Reigns, the head of the table, for the Universal Championship. And of course, the reason for the Money in the Bank, with the men's Money in the Bank having Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Seth Rollins in the men's one, and the women's having the tag team champions Tamina and Natalya, Liv Morgan, Nikki Ash, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Asuka, and the returning Zelina Vega. So I'll run down all those tomorrow on Predictions League. And remember, you can always earn points for this championship belt. More details during that show. So I'm going to get out of here just for a moment, catch my breath, get a drink of water, and we're going to switch over to the Ontario Indy Road Trip show. But here's a couple of shout outs to our friends with the Ontario Podcasting Network and the Johners Podcast Network.
How's everybody doing today? I'm Isaac of Such Good Shoot, and I just want to take a moment and I want to say that we are really grateful to be a part of the Wrestling with Johners Network, podcasting network. You can check it out, wrestlingwithjohners.com, and you can get all sorts of amazing shows on there. We're on there. You got Toilet Side Wrestling Talk with my man Brad Marcus. What do you say with DDJ? One of my favorites. You got Rope Break, Scumbags of Wrestling podcast. Love that shit. You got Pro Wrestling Tonight. You got Pull Up a Seat, a wrestling podcast. You've got Wrestling with Johners, Turnbuckle Arms podcast, and so much more. So go check that out. Go check us out at suchgoodshoot.com, where you can find all of our shows, all of our current stuff. We've got all sorts of written stuff, man. Shane's writing stuff, DDJ's writing stuff, Brad's going to be writing stuff. So we got written articles up there. You can find all the merch you can ever want. You got I'm Jewish with Isaac shirts. You got pillows. You got water bottles and mugs. So get out there, buy the merch, check us out. Check out Wrestling with Johners, Such Good Shoot live Thursday nights, 10:05, every fucking Thursday. So come on out, have some fun.
Yeah, we want to thank Isaac for that shout out in his promo. And of course, when we are on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, you can always catch Such Good Shoot with Isaac and company at 10:05. So you fill your Thursday nights with wrestling information and talk.
Did I buy Isaac cookies and bananas? Did I even get a bill from those people? Did I set the DVR?
I really hope Grandma's okay.
I forgot to mow the lawn again.
My wife's not
Should
gonna
I go
leave
see
me.
the doctor?
Who in the
hell
hell
asked her to? Please God,
Should Isaac have more friends?
Really that bad?
Why couldn't we
I
not?
should.
How much is that
repair
repair
going to
Did I
cost
buy
me?
Isaac
Did I
cookies and
really
bananas?
shouldn't have.
People?
Did I
Did
pay that bill?
Do they
How
know?
much is that repair going to
I
cost?
really hope
know?
Grandma's okay.
Do they know?
All right, stop!
Remember what the doctor said. When you get overwhelmed, go to your happy place.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to fight! Put up your hands and fight. You know there's something ain't right.
Yeah, and Matthew Terry, we've seen on our Fantasy Warfare tournaments, which are taking a little bit of a break at the moment. Just a lot of stuff opening up and people going back to work. We're just figuring out our schedules, and we'll be bringing back next month. We're hoping to return with some Fantasy Warfare tournaments and looking at the SummerSlam and what history is going on with that. Matthew also, though, said that he's going live tonight and tomorrow with The Finish. So you'll be able to catch his show, The Finish, after Slammiversary and Money in the Bank. And he has a lot of info that you can be a part of. Tune in, have your say on what you just saw on those pay-per-views.
Here at Toilet Side Wrestling Talk, we interview the top wrestling stars on the independent wrestling circuit, with questions including, who exposed you to wrestling? Were you nervous the night before your first day of training? Did your family support your wrestling dream? Are you a witch? For $700,000, would you legally marry a horse? Have you ever cried from a Vin Diesel movie? These questions and much more on Toilet Side Wrestling Talk.
Some interesting questions there, and definitely great answers every time on Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Before we do jump into all the news that's coming out with Ontario just opening up yesterday, a lot of different independent shows are popping up, and I got a list of them to go. But one that is not wrestling related, but a shout out to our friend over at Heatwave Hot Sauce Expo. They are returning. Heatwave Hot Sauce Expo Summer Market at Budweiser Gardens, August 28th and 29th. Advance tickets are just $10 plus applicable charges. Admission price higher at the door. Over 35 producers of quality hot sauce and condiments from across Ontario come together to offer your taste buds an exhilarating experience. Shop and sample hot sauce, then join us on a large outdoor patio for some ice cold beer and chicken wings. For more information on the event, please visit heatwaveexpo.com. Entry is subject to capacity restrictions. Please arrive early. COVID protocols for safety gatherings will be in place as per local health unit regulations. And that also goes with this. In a few weekends, we're going to see the return of Ribfest here in London. And Ribfest is returning to Victoria Park, downtown London. 5 festival days, live music. As always, civic holiday weekend. It's time to party. Thursday, July 29th to August 2nd. 8 Rivers going to be there. There's going to be craft beer on hand. There's going to be corn on the cob, I believe. There's a lot of stuff going on, and also live music. We have been starving for live music for a long while, so definitely check out Heatwave Expo at the end of August and Ribfest July 29th to August 2nd. So what more do you want? Let's talk about it. There is Backyard Pro. They just finished up their 3rd season this past Thursday. So if you did not end up catching that, you can always go back to their website and check out Backyard Pro. It's 3 episodes, 7 matches, rough enough with Dancing Weapon. Episode 3 finale was released on Thursday, and it had Tommy Touchdown making his debut against 2 Clips, Kyle McKenzie. And the Supermarket Mafia defended the Backyard Pro Tag Team titles against Scooter McGavin and Big Brother Dean, sponsored by Love Wrestling. And we were part of also helping to fund that, so we want to give a shout out to them all the time whenever possible. George Mackay has Sledge on as his guest this week on Straight Talk Wrestling, and the mini host welcomed Jay Chung to this week's episode of 5 Questions. So check out the great content coming out from Straight Talk Wrestling with the Mackay family. Just 2 days to go until Slammiversary, and Chris Dees sat down with Impact Wrestling's X Division champion, the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, to talk about TJP, 60-minute Iron Man match, the Ultimate X match coming up later on tonight, and much more on the newest episode of It's Our House podcast. Join Lewis Carlin with daily news updates on his Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Episode 95 of This is Brandon is out. That is Holden Albright's podcast, and always a fun time listening to his. Join Matthew Terry as Ring of Honor's Championship Dog in the Fight podcast. Matthew covers the rules and guidelines for the tournament. People can win a $50 Amazon gift card, and that's over with Time to Fight podcast. Schwa Wars, episode number 30, presents another round of Trivia Game Night with special guests Elian Habanero, Shiloh, Logan Savage, Jeff Smith, and Kai AJ. Gilmy Talks has Travis Moore on his latest podcast that dropped on Tuesday. And the Johners Podcast Network is proud to be sponsors of Wrestle Carnival. The Carnival of Honor show happens on September 12th in Nottingham, England. It will feature stars from Ring of Honor and the UK scene. Matches from the shows will be streamed on Ring of Honor week-by-week shows. And put that up there. Graps is also a sponsor of Wrestle Carnival, and you can get 15% off your purchase when you use the code JOHNERS at checkout. So, grapsapparel.com, use the promo code JOHNERS, 15% off your purchases. Speaking of purchases, I want to give you a reminder that we have a store over at prowrestlingtees.com/Scumbags Wrestling, and you have our 4 t-shirts there, with proceeds always going to Steven's Wrestling Journey, especially if you buy the comic book cover supporting independent wrestling. So go to our store over at Pro Wrestling Tees. Now, for the news that I was mentioning about, the Ontario Indy Road Trip is proud to present these upcoming events. Barrie Wrestling returns to action on Saturday, July 31st, with We're Back, 49 Ferris Lane at the soccer field. Tickets are $20 and will be following all COVID guidelines. Contact Barrie Wrestling or Shawn Gibson on Facebook for tickets. Huge news out of Northland Wrestling. After 15 months away, they're teaming up with New Ontario Brewing Company to present Tap House Takedown on Saturday, August 14th in North Bay, Ontario. This event will be limited to 100 tickets. Tickets will only be sold in advance. On Saturday, August 15th, at the Columbus Club in Hamilton, New School Wrestling returns to action with dropkicks, drive-ins, and dives too. Tickets are just $15 or $50 for a carload of 4 to 6 people. This is an event at a drive-in theater. Breaking news from Chem Valley Wrestling. They're returning on August 21st for their first show outdoors at Valley Axe Sarnia. Tickets will go on sale. Actually, they went on sale yesterday, should I say. And full details are being released along with a poster that included Fight or Flight, Tyson Dukes, Cody Deaner, tons of others going to be there. I just need to upload the poster for next week's show, and we'll know everything that's going on as more details get released. They have 3 different layers of VIP, $40, $30, $20. I think tickets have gone really fast for the front 2 rows, so there's still tickets available for row 3 VIP, I believe, and of course general admission are just $15. So check out Chem Valley Wrestling for more information as they get going, and let's get ready to rumble. Destiny returns to live action in Ontario Sunday, August 22nd with Summer Heat. Get ready for details this Friday. No Ring North has booked a venue for August 29th at 7 p.m. They will be at the tail of the junction at 3367 Dundas Street, West Toronto, Ontario. Limited tickets available for this event for just $20. Hit up Warhead for tickets. Courage Pro Wrestling is returning to live action on Sunday, September 12th. They will be going back to the Germania Club at 863 King Street East, and as they present CPW Reboot at 4 p.m. More information and tickets on sale dates will be released as soon as possible. And of course, there is HWE Country Carnage. In their first event in well over a year, Country Carnage comes to you this summer. HWE television champion Johnny DeLuca faces off against his toughest challenge to date, the Diamond Tiger, Kobe Durst, with the title on the line. Also, after searching far and wide in his adventures, Stone Rockwell has finally found the finest of silk and bring him to HWE Country Carnage to take on the fan favorite tag team Airstrike. There's going to be a battle royal. Hold on. A former champion of the Fiji Princess Princess Devia will square off against new face of HWE women's roster in the relentless Shiloh, one-on-one with the winner receiving a Battle Arts Women's Championship opportunity. Which of these hungry competitors will come out victorious with an opportunity to challenge Bianca for the title? Find out when the official HWE Country Carnage returns. Another never foreseen match only at HWE Country Carnage, and this is one will be an epic encounter. The heavyweight championship is on the line as HWE newcomer to and former heavyweight champion in his own right, Anarchy from the UK, Ad Hutchinson brings his power and determination to challenge the self-proclaimed epitome of wrestling HWE heavyweight champion, the ring general Rip Impact. Impact has been waiting patiently to defend his championship for moments like this to prove to everyone why he calls himself the epitome of wrestling and why he could care less what any of us think. The special challenge is sure to be interesting, with both these men bringing different styles to the ring. So that's happening with HWE Country Carnage, happening this summer. Dates are going to be released soon, I believe. And then, of course, the one that we're definitely proud to be a part of is the All Ontario Cup. More names have been announced for the All Ontario Cup, and that one's this one right here. Joining the tournament this week are Hot Stepper, Holden Albright, the Visionary Von Vertigo, the Canadian Buzzsaw Corey Stone, the return of Young Miles, Clutch Jesse V, the Wavemaker Kyle Boone, and going from new school of Kyle Boone all the way to old school with Notorious TID. Bring up the other part with Vertigo and Miles, but they've also announced the names of the blocks, and there are names that Barrie Wrestling is proud to have as part of the legendary Ontario fans. One block is going to be the Cole Belgrave block. There's Wrestling on the Rise block. The CountedOut7.com block. And of course, as you see on the screen, bottom right-hand side, the Scumbags block. We are, as I said, proud legendary Ontario fan sponsors of the All Ontario Cup, and there will be more dates and announcements coming up in the coming weeks. Understandably, with a recent tornado going through Barrie, things are a little bit up in the air with scheduling at the moment, I think, but we'll hear more from Shawn Gibson in the coming days and weeks. Others that are involved with the Ontario Cup, plus the brackets are supposed to be released coming up soon. And we'll see who's against each other. But we're going to see Steve Bone Crusher Brown, the White Russian Anthony Alexiev, the Golden Gun Mark Wheeler, Travis Moore, the Psychonaut. Head referee is going to be Brad Myers. The Young Bull, Junior Benito, is there. We also have Stratos, Tornado, Addie Starr, the Queen of Crazy, Shane Saber, the Relentless John Atlas, El Diablo himself, Gabriel Foreza, the Boss, John Greed, Black Lavender, Lionel Knight, Pretty Ricky Wilde, Kirk Warmack, returning after a 5-year layoff, the High Risk Hero, Rip Impact, tournament analysis coming up from James Key, and of course we also have the Anti-Hero, SOS, and the Diamond Tiger, Kobe Durst. It's 30 Ontario wrestlers, All Ontario Cup, a showcase of the best in the province. So stay tuned for more details as that comes along. John Scott has Johnner's podcast was on live the other day, and the notorious Angel Amber Joe was his guest. So check out the Johnner's Podcasting Network wherever you get your podcasts from, and we are a proud member of the podcast crew over there. Just a final note, forgot to scroll down a little bit, with the All Ontario Cup Indiegogo page is up and running, and this is a paper watch event like we're used to before the pandemic. 30 wrestlers, a large crew, people need to get paid. The show times and dates will be announced later on this month, and you can get 29 matches for a minimum of $10. Now you go over to their Indiegogo page and find out all the details. There's a bunch of different levels and different sponsorships that you can help make this show possible. So go over to there and make sure you do your part and help them get everything back going forward in Ontario independent wrestling and this showcase of the best of the best. And of course, on July 20th, Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling Academy is opening in Listowel with head trainers Tyson Dukes and Shane Saber. It's going to be the place to go with top-of-the-line facility, in-ring training, weight room, and incredible trainers. Prices start as low as $50, and you can go to the Hard Knocks Wrestling Academy page for details on how to sign up. We love those guys over there in Listowel, and they're really great bunch of crew over there. So that is what's going on right now in Ontario and in WWE, AEW, Impact, you name it. That's what I got for this week. It's just a short show. We didn't go over an hour, but of course, we're hoping to get partners back to do some bantering and stretch out things. But yeah, that's the news for this week. And I'll be back later on this afternoon with a prediction show for Impact Wrestling's Slammiversary. As you see, there is the rules for the Predictions League where you can win the championship belt. And we will see you later on. Thank you.
If you want a variety of wrestling news and history, look no further than the Scumbags Wrestling family of shows. On Wednesday nights at 6 p.m., join Shawn, Steven, and Jonesy as we look for the best of the best and break it all down in a unique tournament format on Fantasy Warfare Tournament. Then Thursdays at noon, take a look back at the rich history of our great sport with This Week in History. Relive title changes, births, deaths, and some of the best events of all time. Finally, join us for the latest in wrestling news, show results, and predictions Thursday nights at 8 p.m. for the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast. The Scumbags Wrestling can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, along with our audio versions on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. We're a proud part of the Ontario Indie Wrestling Podcast Network and the Johnner's Podcast Network.